Hey everybody, we are recording. Welcome to tonight's vBrownBag. It is Wednesday, June 20th, 2018. I think we're going to have a fun show tonight. We're starting 11 minutes late because we've been chatting and laughing and bantering for the last half hour before the show. So this is going to be a good one. We're going to talk about Office 365. Do you need data protection for your cloud? Presented by Exchange Goddess and 24/7 IT Connect, Theresa. Do you want to give us a little preview of what we're going to talk about tonight?
Sure.
Anybody?
This is Exchange Goddess, or also known as Phoummala Schmitt. I'm not sure which one you want to call me. So we're basically going to talk Office 365. It's been around. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I'm pretty sure it's going to stick around for some time, and most people are using it. And the most common question that gets asked is, do I need to back up that data? So we're going to discuss if you need data protection, and if you need it, how do you back it up? And if you don't want to back it up, are there ways to ensure that your data is protected?
And I think just to add to that, so this is 24/7 IT Connect, Theresa Miller. To add to that, I think you might be surprised by some of our thoughts on this. So we're looking forward to having the conversation with you.
I think this is Anthony. I think I've got an idea of what the answer is, but I would be interested to see if you prove me wrong at the end, and I'll tell you if I was right or wrong, and I'll be honest about it. So we'll see where this is going to go.
All right.
Surprise if you're right.
A vBrownBag sticker.
Yeah.
Yes, I get a sticker. Always wanted one.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay, all right. I will introduce myself. I'm Anthony Hook, at Anthony R. Hook on Twitter. And with me, I have...
Luis Ayuso, at L Ayuso on Twitter.
Awesome. So we're going to be co-hosting for tonight. We'll be watching the Q&A panel on your GoToWebinar for our live audience. And we'll be watching Twitter, hashtag vBrownBag. If you're watching this live, you already know how to get to us, but you may not know that we do have shows around the world at different times and in different languages. So on the right side of your screen, you can see our around the world shows and the times that they're at. If you're interested, check us out on vBrownBag.com. You should be able to find the sign-up forms, tell your friends overseas, because it's the internet and we can do cool things like that. So share us and all that good stuff. You can find us on Twitter at vBrownBag and our Latin America and Europe teams.
And hashtag
one other thing.
Questions.
Yeah, thank you. Hashtag vBrownBag. We'll be watching that for questions tonight. We were talking a little bit before the show about VMworld. VMworld's coming up in August. We do have a call, and I should have put the link in here, but I thought about it too late. We are looking for presenters at VMworld. So if you're interested in presenting, we have two different size time slots. One is a 12-minute, and one is a 20-something minute. I probably should have looked that up beforehand. But we have two different size time slots, and you can sign up to do a tech talk at VMworld. Those are also broadcast live. We are in the schedule builder, so if you're interested, you can check us out and sign up. If you can't make it, you can watch them live. It's cool stuff. So if you want to present, you are more than welcome to. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't physically pain anybody to present, and it's free. We don't charge you. So yeah, you can sign up if you want, and we will be there. And we're in the schedule builder again this year, as far as I know. I could be wrong, which has happened before, to be wrong on the internet. That's all I've got for housekeeping before we start. So, are you ladies ready to get it kicked off?
Yeah, if you can make me presenter, we'll get things rolling.
Change presenter. Let me make sure I click the right person and we don't have one of our attendees suddenly presenting.
Yeah, you don't want that to happen.
No, I don't think so.
It's like your
So,
webcam, you put the duct tape there so nobody sees.
right. I heard some horror stories from some online instructors about, oh, we used to do webcams with the class, and then we decided that was a terrible idea.
Yes.
We don't do that anymore. Yeah.
All right.
Especially WebEx. For some reason, it always wants to kick that camera on.
Every time, and I'm like,
Oh,
I don't have a polo on today. I've just got
I
like my, death metal T-shirt or whatever. All right, I'm gonna shut up now. You guys take it away.
Okay, so as we stated earlier, so we're going to talk about Office 365 and if you need data protection for your cloud. So I'm Phoummala Schmitt, also known as Exchange Goddess, and I think most people just call me Exchange Goddess because it's just a lot easier than pronouncing Phoummala. I am an infrastructure lead for Independence Blue Cross. I currently am in charge of our messaging infrastructure, our Skype for Business, our Polycom, our mobile device infrastructure, also faxing. We do lots and lots of faxing. Yes, it's 2018, and we do almost a couple 100,000 faxes a day. It is a very profitable business for the healthcare industry. My background is in virtualization and also storage and obviously Exchange. I've been doing this for 14 years now, and I actually was in the fashion industry before I crossed over into IT. So I have a very interesting take on how businesses work with technology. And I'm also the co-host of Current Status with Theresa Miller, who's also here with us. And I'm a central PA vMugly. No, that's not Palo Alto. That's central Pennsylvania. It's right in the middle, smack dab. Yeah, smack dab in the middle of the state. Everyone says PA. I'm like, nope, it's not Palo Alto. It's central PA, small area, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And we have a nice community there. Theresa, do you want to introduce yourself?
I will. So, Theresa Miller, I go by 24/7 IT Connect on Twitter. And a few things I like to call out are I am a Microsoft MVP, VMware vExpert, and a Citrix CTP. And there's only about 10 of us in the world that can make that claim. So, been kind of fun working with the communities and sharing knowledge. Phoummala mentioned as well that we have a podcast, Current Status, a website where her, myself, and several others write. That's the 24/7 IT Connection. And when I'm not busy with the community, my day job has me as a senior systems engineer working with Citrix and Office 365 and Exchange and Skype and Azure and all kinds of great things. So I don't sleep.
But we're in IT. Who really sleeps in IT?
All right, so I'm just like everybody else.
Yep.
All right, so something to think about here as we get started. And I think it's kind of a bold statement, but for many organizations, this is very true. Email is the lifeline of just about every company in the world. You may get one here or there that will challenge that and say they can be down without email. But as soon as it goes down, even those that claimed that, all of a sudden there's a panic and there's a loss of productivity. And in many cases, potential dollars lost. So it really is a compelling statement. I have worked with people that, insisted email wasn't important, but second it down. Nobody agrees with that person.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked on large enterprises, and they have all, some have classified email as a second tier application. And like you said, as soon as it goes down, they're standing by my cube going, when is email going to be up? It is the lifeline of every company. Think about it's a communication tool. So if your email is down, you can't communicate with within your business, but also your external business partners. So it's important to have your email systems up, but it's also important to have the email data that the emails that you're sending back and forth data. If you lose that data, that's potential loss as well. Especially with Office 365, which, like I said earlier, it's not going anywhere. There's some people that think, oh yeah, it's the cloud. It's here to stay. I mean, the majority of businesses are really gravitating towards it if they haven't already, jumped over to the cloud. I mean, there's still organizations that haven't made that shift yet for whatever reason, compliance, regulatory concerns. But honestly, I think, in the future, most organizations will be in Office 365 in some way, shape, or form. It's just a matter of time rather than if. So, one of the things we have to think about is when we go to the cloud is it's our data. What do we do with that data? Do we just give it to the service provider and let them do whatever they want with it and trust that they're going to protect our data and make sure it's available for us? Or do we have to protect it and make sure that, one, they're doing their job, but two, we're safeguarding our information?
Yeah, I think this will be really interesting for us to discuss. One more thing I just want to call out before we dive into that is I know some people watching or some that'll catch this later might also be kind of challenging the fact that email is the lifeline of every company when we have a new generation coming into the workforce heavily using tools like, Skype and Slack and, WebEx,
Teams.
whatever the case might be. Yeah, we're moving into Teams, all these different types of collaboration tools. And to me, the reality is you're going to have several generations in the workforce for a long time. And I think some of those tools may cross boundaries with other organizations outside of your internal organization. But I feel like in the short term, those are primarily internal tools. And I know you could probably challenge that even, but at the end of the day, we're going to have a tool set, and email still does live and breathe as that lifeline for the most part.
But think about those one-liner emails, like people send, or the reply alls. You send it to a group and everybody replies to it, and maybe one person replies one line or two lines, and it's chatter. It becomes almost like an IM when really you should be IMing, or should I use Slack for that conversation, or do I use Teams for that, or do I use Skype? And a lot of times people just revert back to email, and then you send the files instead of sending a link from your SharePoint site. It's still it's email. It's one of those things. It's sort of like faxes. People joke about, oh my gosh, it's 2018. You guys still fax? Yeah. I mean, healthcare, doctors' offices, they are huge in the fax, and I don't really see that going away. I just had a incident the other day. I called the doctor's office. Can you email me that paperwork? Oh no, we don't do that. It's not secure. We have to fax it to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, fair enough. So I see email being sort of like that, where it's going to be around. Yes, we have those other tools. I think those other tools are just going to enhance the collaboration space, and email is just going to be another component of it.
Exactly. Well, good. So now let's go ahead and move into, why we're here, right? What about these backups? So let's go ahead and get started.
So when we talk about protecting your data, these are pretty much the three common scenarios for why people want to protect your data. You've got failures in DR, and then you've got your accidental errors, which I like to call layer 8 sometimes. And then you've got your, you like that layer 8. Because we all have those layer 8 issues that come up, especially when it comes to accidental deletions.
I think I just heard everybody's audio is muted, but I'm pretty sure I just heard when you said layer 8, I heard a collective groan from everybody else on the presentation.
I love layer 8 issues. They're the best. And then the point in time recovery, long-term data storage. And I put this in red because usually this has to do with legal, some type of legal requirement. There's a lawsuit, but for the most part, it's these 3 reasons why you protect your data, and it's regardless if it's on premises or in the cloud. You're still thinking about these 3 particular reasons why you want to protect your data. Now, when we shift into the cloud, you think, okay, I'm in the cloud. Do I need to worry about disaster recovery and failures?
But doesn't
Possibly.
Microsoft back everything up? I think that's a common misconception.
No.
Right? So
Microsoft does not back up.
Right. Very big misconception.
They have high availability. They have redundancy built into Office 365. There are 4 copies of your mailboxes. It's spread across within the different data centers, but there is no backup. And they will tell you they do not back up, but there's other components and features built into Office 365, especially Exchange Online, that enables you to basically not have backups. Because once you have that high availability and you enable a certain subset of features, why would you need to do that? And then the accidental errors, that's kind of, I don't think we can ever really get,
Actually,
get
can
away
we
from-
step back? Those accidental errors aren't going to go away, but can we step back for a second? So on the failures and disaster recovery, so you shared how there's multiple copies of the database, right? But just because there's 3 or 4 copies of the database, I just want to call out that if a mailbox becomes deleted, like it's gone through the retention, like so let's say Phoummala, you are deleted out of my Exchange Online because I don't know, we're not going to do work together anymore, right?
I've been bad.
You were bad. You're out.
Yes.
So you've gone through the process of retention, and now we're at the point where that's really officially gone. Just because there's 4 copies of the database doesn't mean that your mailbox can be recovered. Those copies of the database are really point in time. They're not lagged. They're point in time, and so they're only as good as the current data that's available within Exchange Online. So that's where.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. So as we work through this, we'll talk about some of the methods that even though that's the case, there are still ways for a certain period of time to get some of that end user data back. But I did want to call that out because it doesn't mean your data is backed up just because there's 4 copies.
Well, that's kind of an age-old thing, right? Because it's the idea between replication versus backup.
Exactly.
Data corrupted becomes replicated corrupted. Data backed up is your backup.
Yep.
So I guess that was maybe this is something that you're going to talk about too, but I was going to ask about, corrupted data replicated is still corrupted. I have worked with Exchange databases that have gone belly up on their own as far as, consistency and that sort of thing. So if there are no backups and, is it using something different on the back end to make sure that things are safe and not getting corrupted? And maybe that's something you'll talk about, but that would just be a concern of mine.
Database resiliency has improved greatly since the beginning days of Exchange. There was a time when you couldn't shut down an Exchange server without stopping the services because it might corrupt the data in the database. So there is that piece. But there, go ahead.
Office 365 is, I would say, is very reliable in terms of data corruption. They have built in, checks and balances in terms of making sure that data is. So if there is let's say if there is a mailbox that's sitting on the database, there's a table there that's bad, it will correct itself. They've got measures in place that will fix that. I haven't heard of any real, I guess, serious issues where mailboxes are actually getting seriously corrupted from Office 365. Maybe
I have not
people
either.
aren't really, yeah, maybe people aren't screaming about it. But if it's happening, I would think Microsoft would be on their, on top of it and fixing it, because this is their bread and butter, other than Azure. I mean, Office 365 is, especially Exchange, it's like, hey, that's their money maker. So they got to make sure that it is running and it's not corrupting people's mailboxes. Now, on premises, I've been known to just reboot a server without shutting down services. I've done that before. You're not supposed to, but
You can now.
yeah, you
Newer
can. I mean,
versions.
yeah, those databases, they're resilient. They come back, and
Mhm.
as long as you have an EDB file, you can always resurrect an Exchange server as well.
Mhm.
There's ways to do that. I've got some tricks up my sleeve. But back to your point about, so when a user gets removed from Office 365, like I've been bad and you deleted my account, you remove my mailbox, and let's say I decide 3 weeks later, I'm going to sue you, Theresa, because you said I was mean and I wasn't really mean, and we're going to we're going to go to court and all that stuff. We have all these emails and it's in my mailbox, and I have a court order to get that email, and you go and say, too bad, I don't have it, because it's past that retention period where you're keeping that mailbox and it's gone. You purged it. Boom.
Yeah.
Do
So yeah, we'll have to talk about.
Lots of tears, Penny.
So I think that falls into some of the other slides that we have to talk
Yes.
about, right? There's definitely
Yep.
something that can be done if you catch it at the right point. So yeah, let's get into that as we move into some of the other topics and slides. So let's talk about accidental errors. I have an uncle that calls human error with my aunt Lucy moments. You call these layer 8s. I'm thinking, you remember I Love Lucy? Anyways,
Yeah.
how
are you aging yourself? Are you aging your
no
dating your
no I definitely watched this on reruns because my parents made me watch it. I'm not as old as that show, but I get a kick out of that because Lucille Ball was hilarious. But anyways, so our accidental errors, they happen all the time. And so, see, but that's a deleted contact, that's a deleted email. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Or I have a rule that deletes emails, and somehow I was messing around with my rules and I didn't realize it, and it's deleting every single email that's coming inbound for me. And oh my gosh, I put a ticket in because I'm not getting any emails anymore. And then you realize that they've been deleted a couple of days later.
That
they realize
sounds wonderful. How did you? I got to figure that one out.
Oh,
at ultimate deniability.
At least once a week, we get a ticket that someone has messed around with their rules somehow and has configured it to delete all incoming emails to them. And then 3 days later, they realize that they haven't gotten any. They're like, oh my God, I don't have any emails coming from external world. And you do a search and like, oh yeah, I've got all message tracking says that you received this, and it says it was moved to your deleted items and it was purged. And then as the Exchange administrator, I go in and I'll show them, oh, you can recover this way because I've been able to a certain feature within Exchange, which is also available in Exchange Online, that enables the user to recover a deleted item that has been removed from their trash bin, which I also like to call their secondary filing bin. Because why would you? It's a deleted items folder, but some people like to have folders, and it's their other filing bin. It's really not a trash bin. But yeah,
And it's good it's
we'll have
there.
to. Yeah, it was
It's a
great.
saving
You know,
grace. Saving grace.
no, I deleted something, or I put it in my deleted items folder. Well, where did it go? It's not there anymore because you've enabled a retention policy that empties everybody's deleted items after 30 days or 10 days or whatever your retention period is, and the user freaks out and it's like, oh my God, I don't see all these emails, and they realize, you tell them that, oh yeah, we empty your deleted items, but I use that for filing. So a lot of the accidental errors, layer 8 issues, it's end user training and education is big, but we're never going to get away from it. It's always going to be here, no matter how hard we try, because I have layer 8 issues myself sometimes.
So,
and then,
right, the big oops,
yep.
Right?
Yes, those are our layer 8 issues.
So I'm gonna
oops.
Yep. All right, so briefly, I'm gonna just pop back to the point in time recovery. I think this is an interesting topic when it comes to Exchange Online, because there are kind of rules around recovery, and sometimes you can recover things and sometimes you can't. And it's really going to depend on the scenario at hand. If it went off to that deleted item recovery, you might be able to capture it, but I don't think the experience is going to be quite the same without a backup solution.
Yeah, point in time recovery is a tricky one. Let's say you have a lawsuit and the judge wants all emails for June 10th of 2015 at that point in time. Well, if you've enabled all the native protection within Exchange, you're still not going to get what that state of the mailboxes were on June 10th, 2015 and 2017. It's not a point in time type of solution. And Microsoft will tell you that, even for their on-premises, Exchange environment. They recommend you use native Exchange protection, but they'll tell you it does not do point in time recovery. So when you have a situation where you need that point in time, that's where you have to consider third-party backup solutions. And then long-term data storage. So if you need that point in time recovery, do you need to store that? And how long do you need to store that for? Because long-term data storage can also be sort of taken care of with the native protection based off retention policies. You can pretty much keep Office 365 data, I don't want to say forever, but for a very long time. I believe they have changed, they've extended how long your retention periods can be for.
So yeah, you can do
I don't know the exact dates.
You can do a hold forever. Absolutely. That is an option. It's not recommended, but
some organizations do that.
Right. There may be some scenarios where you would.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like healthcare industries.
Definitely. Healthcare, I think, I even think sometimes it's use case based. So you might just automatically, for example, for every C-level in the organization, just automatically put them on some form of retention hold, just because of the importance of their role and the types of conversations that they may get into via email. It's best to just keep everything, right? And so it may be,
or not,
or what?
Or not keep.
Correct. Maybe you're deliberately not going to keep theirs, and it just depends on your corporate policy and what your legal wants. Yeah, there's two different.
There's two schools of thought with this. The more data that you have, the more risk you are. And basically, you've got more risk now.
Right.
So it's kind of like, do I keep everything and make sure that if I do get into some type of lawsuit, I have the data, or do I set a policy that states hey, I only keep 30 days of email and that's it. We don't have PST files. We don't, we don't store anything. It's just 30 days, flat out right, everything's purged. So if you do get a lawsuit and you tell them that's my policy, they're not going to come back at you and say, well, you guys are in trouble now, but because you're following what your policy states for the company. So there's considerations there with that. So we're going to backups. So I guess we can get into the nitty-gritty of the backups.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's kind of time. So I guess, in terms of backups, what's your simple school of thought on this? I have one as well I'd like to share, but do you need them or not?
The official word from Microsoft is no. You do not need to back up any Office 365 data. And if you do back up,
what's your school of thought?
My school of thought is it really depends on your situation, your business requirement needs. I hate to say it, but it really does. If you're an organization that needs that point in time recovery, and you have all these lawsuits, you may want to look at a third-party solution, because some of the features that are built into Office 365, whether it be Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, that their whole conglomerate of services, it may not be enough to meet your business requirements from a recovery standpoint. So if you have strict requirements, it's definitely something you need to consider. If you're satisfied with the native protection and making sure that your administrators are maintaining the right retention policies, then go for it. Use native protection, save yourself some money, because third-party solutions are going to cost you something. It's not free. And there's a caveat. So there is no backup API for Office 365. And I'm sure I can grab somebody from Microsoft and they will say, we have no backup API. It uses EWS. EWS is not an API. So yeah, that's a whole soapbox right there. So a lot of the third-party solutions use EWS to connect into Exchange to basically get a copy of your email, and then it creates that backup set with it. But it's not a true backup set, in a sense where if you have an on-premises Exchange environment and you're running Commvault or Veeam or whatever backup solution, and you've got the Exchange agent and it's connecting in and it talks to the DAG and it creates your backup copy. That's not how the Office 365 version works. So we kind of have to level set everybody there. That the official wording is Microsoft says no, you don't need to. I'm saying it depends on what you need to do and what's right for you, because every business is different. We're all not the same cookie mold. If that makes sense. What's your thought, Theresa?
Yeah, so we agree on something.
Yeah, we're the yin and yang. So if you guys didn't know, we're definitely the yin and yang.
So we do share a similar perspective on this. My perspective is you have to take a look at the business. If you work in an organization that when a user calls and if they're missing one email from 6 months ago, that you're going to be expected to find it and recover it no matter what it takes, you need a third-party backup product. However, if you have an organization that can take a look at the Microsoft SLAs for deleted item retention, for how long a mailbox exists after it's deleted, that might understand that if a contact goes missing or a list in a personal mailbox goes just completely missing and can't be recovered, if that can be tolerated, then you probably don't need backups and you can conform with the Microsoft approach. I have seen both sides of the coin. And so my recommendation to anybody who's listening in and chiming in today is to know your business requirements. Then you can make this decision.
Yes, and once you know those requirements, you need to fine tune the Exchange Online retention policy settings. Get to know them by heart. Don't accept the defaults. And I think that's what happened several years ago when Office 365 and Exchange Online was getting really popular and people were jumping into it. It was like, oh, we're in the cloud, and it was sort of overlooked. Like, I don't want to say overlooked, but taken for granted, the retention policies, the assumptions that, oh, these settings are the same here, so they should be the same over there. They're not. And then just the lack of understanding of how to configure those settings was a big one a few years ago, and there was a lot of screaming of, oh my gosh, Office 365, you lost my data, because I didn't know that I needed to configure these retention policies correctly. So if yeah, I remember like 3 years ago, that was such a big deal. I mean, people were screaming about Microsoft losing their email, but it wasn't Microsoft's fault.
It was
You have
defined
to
in their SLAs. Yeah.
Yes. At the end of the day, it is your responsibility as the administrator, as the owner of the data, to know how to manage your data, what settings you need. Because Microsoft, they gave you the tools. So they gave you Office 365. They're a service provider. They've enabled all these settings for you. Here you go. Have at it. You as the administrator, you're required to know and understand all these different settings. So if there is, let's say, two-factor, and there's retention policy settings and legal hold settings, and you're not using them correctly, you can't go back and blame the service provider for losing your email. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility. It's your data. So you need to learn how to, I hate to say it like that, but you need to learn, but you do. You need to understand how these settings work and how they're going to affect your business requirements and your business SLAs. Gosh, that was a soapbox. I'm not sorry either.
Yeah, no. It's completely true. And to kind of simplify it a little bit, I actually wish I had a slide, but I didn't put it in. I want you to really think about the word and how you spell assume. If you assume, you know what happens, right? You make an ass out of yourself. So any cloud provider, any cloud option, whether it's Office 365 or not, do not go into those conversations assuming you have backups. Ask lots of questions and understand the SLAs offered so that you can take it back to the business and see how it aligns.
Well, even with Gmail, this can be applied to any cloud provider, regardless if it's even email or SharePoint, anything, Salesforce. You need to understand what the service provider, is offering to you in terms of backups, DR, their SLAs. Blindly going into it without understanding all that, and then how that impacts your current processes, your current SLAs, your current requirements in terms of DR. Certain industries, you may have a list of requirements that need to be met in terms of SLAs, and if you're using a cloud provider and those SLAs don't meet up with what you're required to do, that may not be an option for you. You may need to adjust that contract, or maybe you can't go to the cloud. I mean, I know the industry I'm in, healthcare, especially if you're dealing with Medicare and a lot of government agencies, there are time limits in terms of when you need to respond, and how much in the type of data you have. I know there's like a turnaround. Certain cases, there's 24-hour turnaround, 48, 72. So let's say, we get emails in and it's lost. That department needs to respond within 24 to 48 hours. And if they don't, we potentially get fined. So it's very time constrained when it comes to, certain industries. So when you are using cloud provider, you really have to look at those SLAs. Look at the fine print. I mean, at the end of the day, it's looking at the fine print and how does that meet your business needs.
So oh, go ahead.
Sorry, one of the questions was asking about wouldn't it be more advantageous to just have Exchange on-prem or a hybrid? And I guess in that situation, it really depends on the business.
And actually,
exactly,
that could be, yeah, it really depends. And a lot of times people stay with hybrid. And that's something I actually recommend. If you feel, and if you think that, especially if you have legacy applications, it's almost best to stay hybrid instead of going full on board with Office 365. It's sort of that kind of your back door, your back pocket, where in the event something happens there, you can move people back. There are some really, really big organizations that have a hybrid configuration where they keep 90% of their users in the cloud and they have 10% on premises.
Just
and
because
that 10%,
of different use cases.
Yes. And, and that 10% is usually people that they need to have a little bit more control over in terms of SLAs and legal requirements. And there's actually several large, very important industries, companies I know that do that, very well-known ones. And so it's something that I personally recommend. Keep a small environment, 1 or 2 servers, especially if you have lots of applications that send email, because you want to have something filtering through rather than just sending it to the open relay up in the cloud.
So just to add to that, for any decent sized organization, we'll say, and even some small organizations, and small I mean like maybe a few hundred and up, but mid-size and up for sure, hybrid is the way to go for your migration. The failback options are critical, but even if you do hybrid and choose to move all of your mailboxes to the cloud, there may be scenarios where, for example, you might leave your relays on-prem, and there's advantages to doing that just because they integrate with internal on-prem servers. And so in that case, you're going to leave hybrid around for a long time, but also know that there are some limitations with hybrid. Once you've done hybrid and you've migrated to the cloud, even like group management, and group management's a big one, where you try to do management in the cloud, but it still goes to on-prem. And Microsoft is working on a way to be able to decommission those hybrid servers for companies that don't want to keep them. But do note that if you do hybrid, you are going to have to keep a couple, even if you choose not to, or even if you choose to move all your mailboxes to the cloud. I like to mention that because I think some people don't realize that. Not to go down a different rabbit hole today.
No, it's good that, and when you are hybrid, your hybrid when you are running in the hybrid mode, your servers that are on premises pretty much have to be current. So you can't be like 3 or 4 versions. Yeah, you basically, when there's a CU update, you've got to put it on within like a release or 2. You've got to stay current. Otherwise, you could run into issues because Microsoft is constantly updating their servers. So you basically have to be parallel to them. Now, smaller shops, this is where I'm kind of like, Office 365, especially if you're like a one-man shop, less than 5 people, and that, your 5 people are doing everything, PC to managing servers and even doing projectors, then totally go Office 365. Save yourself the headache of patching servers. And I love Exchange. So, yeah. And I'm advocating.
SMB for sure. Just move to the cloud. So we have a few more slides, and I think we're getting close to the hour mark. So let's talk about, maybe in just a little more detail here, some of the backup solutions. We call them backup solutions that are built into the Office 365 product. I think we've alluded to some of these options already, but I think, diving in a little deeper might provide some value, because you're not left without anything when it comes to Exchange Online. You just need to know how to set the features within it, and that can make it okay not to have backups. You just kind of have to rethink things. So, do you want to kick this off?
Yeah, so we've got, basically there's two options. You use the native online protection, which is using the three features: single item recovery, legal hold, and deleted items retentions. Wow, I said that really fast. So those three components is pretty much your, I say this in quotes, your backup of your mail. It is basically retaining your emails, the version control. In the next slide, I'm going to talk a little bit more into how native protection works a little bit more in depth than this, but it's essentially allowing single item recover, which allows a user to delete something. And back in the day, the deleted items recovery area used to be called the dumpster, but now it's the deleted items deleted items folder. They keep changing the names on me, but it's like your secondary recycle bin. So it's the stuff that disappears from your deleted items folder, your trash bin, is the dumpster. So enabling single item recovery allows a user to restore those emails again, the ones that have disappeared from their trash bin, from their other filing folder. And they can do this by going into OA, or if they've enabled it in their Outlook client, it's just basically right-clicking on the trash bin, recover deleted items, so that single item recovery. And then by doing this, you've allowed the user to fix the layer 8 issues. So let's say they delete an email, or they create those rules that delete all their incoming mail, and they realize a few days later they can go back and recover those items. And you can configure that. By default, it's 14 days, and you can figure that up to, I want to say, it's either 30 or 60 days. I know it used to be 30, and I know they've changed it, so I think it's 60 now. I'd have to double check on the exact number, because they were getting a lot of slack for having it only 30 days, because on premises can be expanded to, gosh, I think it was like 24,000 days or something like that. Anyways, this allows the user to go back and recover that, and this is where you don't need that protection from accident deletion. Like if you have an on-premises server and you don't have single item recovery enabled, and the user deletes all their emails, you'd have to restore that backup. And we all know how long it takes to restore backup. I mean, depending on your backup solution, it could be 20 minutes, and then or it could be 6 hours. So having single item recovery helps, and the user just goes into OA, right clicks, and then this little pop-up comes up, and then they see all their emails that they deleted within like the 7 to 14 days. Highlight them, click OK. I want to recover. OK again. Boom, everything just comes back. It's like a miracle. And then there's also deleted items retention that goes with that. So deleted item retentions maintains how long those items are stored in the secondary recycle bin. And the only way, so once it gets into the secondary recycle bin, which is the dumpster, the old dumpster, you can, as an administrator, search it through the search mailbox commandlet. Users can go through OA. So we can sometimes go back and do an e-discovery search if we wanted to. We also have the ability to search even deeper than what the user can see. So Theresa, you want to go to the next slide? This is the more in-depth one. So single item recovery, delete items, and then you add legal hold. So when you add legal hold to this basically is no backup. You don't need backups at all. This is Microsoft's way of saying, okay, I've enabled single item recovery. My delete items retention is within my policy that I want to set it for. And then a person is on legal hold. So when you have a person on legal hold, it basically is nothing gets purged or deleted. Even though the user may think that they are deleting stuff, it's not. And it goes into, so if they delete something and they're on legal hold, it's going to go into this, the recoverable deleted items area, but it's actually split into 2 partitions. So there's the area where the user sees that they can recover with an OA, and then there's this other area, the second partition, where it's the legal hold area. So let's say a person deletes an email, it's going to go in here, or let's say they open email, they modify that email. It's the original goes into the second partition, but also the modifications. So this is where all the versions of that email is still retained in the second partition of the single or of your deleted recovery area. It's sort of complicated, but it's their nifty way of saying you don't ever need backups, because whatever the user does, as long as they're on legal hold, we have every single copy, every single change of it. And as an administrator, you can go in and search and restore those copies.
Yeah, so
does that make sense?
yeah, it does. It's I think it's
It
a
took
lot.
me a while.
So there's a couple things I want to talk about, I guess, to that I think are important here when it comes to legal holds. So one thing is to take a look. There's a couple different kinds. As Phoummala mentioned, there's the opportunity to have a user delete items. They don't even have to know that they're on any kind of hold. And those items can be seen by the administrator, or in the Office 365 console, you can go in and allow your legal team to have permissions to just one small area of the console, totally restricted to discovery, where they can set up cases where they can view that data if that's how you'd prefer to do it. So the nice thing is that the user doesn't necessarily have to see that or deal with that if they've deleted something. The other thing I want to mention, and I'm certain you can just go out and search it. If you want to see any of this in action, I did a IT Dev Connections talk last fall. I spoke at the event, and it was a security smackdown, and you probably just could look for that in Theresa Miller. And out there, I even do some demos on exactly how this stuff works. And I think while some of these diagrams are very complex, you'll see if you go back and look at that actually doing these things is relatively simple. And then one final point, we talk about the litigation holds and these holds as backups, but they are intended for specific use cases. Microsoft isn't wanting us to go into our tenants and turn on holds for everything to kind of get around having backups. I think that will end up probably ruining things for us and making prices on subscriptions go up. So definitely be thoughtful when you make decisions around how you use these holds, but know that they can be your saving grace in situations where you have to retain data for a lawsuit like we were talking about earlier, or if someone's just behaving badly and legal comes to you and says we need to track this. So while it sounds like a lot to consider, it's actually really relatively simple and straightforward to set up.
I think if you are considering putting everybody on legal hold as a way of restoring everyone's emails and all the versions, and that's not the way to go. If you're considering that,
No.
You're better off looking at the third-party solutions. Veeam is a great product, and that's a plugin for Veeam. Hey guys, and gal, Commvault has something. I think even Rubrik might have something, and I want to say Spanning has an Office 365 backup tool. I believe they also back up SharePoint as well. So those are things to consider. Yes, it's going to cost you money, rather than turning legal hold on everybody. But that's not what the intent was, as Theresa said. Legal hold, it was intended for legal holds. So if you need to go and turn legal hold on for everybody in your organization, it's not the way to go. And Microsoft will probably come back and tell you that as well. You're better off at looking at a solution if you need to keep all your emails. And there are some organizations that have infinite retention policies. And if you're one of them, this is my plug for all you software vendors out there and hardware vendors, because I believe NetApp has a cloud product as well. Here's your chance, guys and ladies. This is your opportunity. If you need that, certainly look at those products. I mean, they're all great. They have their pros and cons, and they were developed for a reason. Organizations asked for them, they wanted them, they need them. So it's not a bad thing for you to look at it. Yes, Microsoft will tell you, you don't need to back up, but if you feel that your business needs to, look at those solutions. You're probably better off with that than turning on legal hold. So I'll get off my soapbox on that one.
Definitely. So we are at time. I'm going to turn this over to the rest of the gang. Do we have time for any questions, or are we?
So we still have time for questions if anybody has any.
Are we at the end?
We're towards the end. Is there any other questions that maybe we didn't? There was actually. I'm going to go way back to the beginning. There was one question on faxing that seemed to pique some people's interest.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
my
we mentioned
gosh,
faxing, and everybody goes, "What? Like, oh, bust out your zip disks and your jazz disks," because we're talking about faxing. No, totally not on topic at all. But the question was, how is fax more secure, especially in healthcare? Like, isn't it an unencrypted protocol with physical copies? Like, isn't that bad?
Yeah. Yes, I consider it not as secure as email, but there are people. Yeah, there are people in the industry, and and doctors and certain security personnel will tell you faxing is more secure. I feel, my personal opinion, is not secure, especially if a nurse or a front office person tells you to fax something, and that fax machine is right out in the front, and there's 20 nurses and doctors and all sorts of office personnel walking, and you fax something and it's sitting there for 8 hours before anybody looks at it, or you have multiple people looking at it. Yeah, that's really secure. But healthcare, doctors' offices, they love faxes. I'm not sure how we can really get over that. And also, financial institutions still fax heavily. They FTP heavily too. PGP keys.
Well, that kind of reminds you of the whole situation with the hard drive in the copy machine. And how secure is that once you guys get rid of it and move it on and move it on somewhere else? And somebody's like, "Oh, I'll just take the hard drive out and look. Oh, look, this was at a doctor's office. Oh, this was at a government facility. Oh, this is definitely classified."
Yeah. I mean, email is definitely more, I would say, more secure. And there's ways to really secure email better than faxing. It's it is what it is, but it's we're creatures of habits, humans. Oh, it's just this old mentality of my fax machine's more secure than email.
And it's been there for a while. It's kind of hard to change that technology too. So I mean, it's hard to turn that corner with some things.
All healthcare is like that, though. All healthcare is like that, and I mean, the only reason I can maybe kind of think it might be secure is because most people have abandoned it and they don't think about it anymore.
Hey, I'm still trying to figure out how to fax a zip file and a video. Okay, I actually had a request for that. Okay,
yeah.
I had
how do you fax a zip file?
A business IT person asked me if they could fax a zip file and a movie file. And I had to step back. I had to step away from my Surface. I had to step away and go outside. It was just like, really? Yeah. And they had to ask me twice. They didn't like my first answer, so they sent me another email the next day, with more clarification on which files they wanted, and I had to repeat myself again. and said, yeah, this isn't going to work. I'm sorry. It's just, you can't.
So if there wasn't a video file, you could extract the zip, print out the documents, and then fax them to somebody. But the movie is just, it's flooring.
Yes. Yes.
I've had a customer try to they brought down an Exchange server because they tried to email a movie.
Oh, yes, we love those. We always have one of them. Yes.
It's like the Matrix.nkv or something like that, you know, the Matroska file of the Matrix that they were trying to email to somebody. I'm like, dude, you can't, like, please don't do this. You can't do that.
Did you see my tweet about I tweeted this maybe about a month ago how you know, there are file restrictions within email systems for a reason. You know, most organizations keep it at 50 megs now. I think it's been increased to 50, maybe 75.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, 50 to 100 megs. Anything over that, send a freaking link. Dropbox, OneDrive, you know, SharePoint, and anything. You know, and I always find it is a 200 meg Excel spreadsheet that you're sending to 50 people in your department, and everybody needs to make a change on it, and they all need to send it back to you. Yeah, that's really smart. Or, you know, somebody that needs to send, you know, a video to somebody. They made a home video because they were doing an inspection, and they're like, okay, you know, I recorded the video off my phone and I need to email it to an auditor. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You know, I understand that it's a way of communication. Trust me, completely get it. But there's a size restriction for a reason. You know, performance, and then you get the people that say, whoa, you know, if it's about performance, then, you know, maybe you go Office 365. Well, Office 365 is going to tell you the same thing. There's going to be, you know, there's a hard limit on how big your files can be. It's not about the storage. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to performance of processing that file. And if you're sending it to 4, 5, 50 people, everybody gets a copy of that. So really, does everybody need to get that that processing for everybody?
Well, even then, you can up your local limits to however big you want, but that doesn't mean the server on the other end is going to be able to receive a file that big too.
Bingo. Yeah. Bingo. That happens a lot, and people don't realize it. And they, you know, they get this rejection email, and they come after me going, "There's something wrong with our email, and it's your fault. You need to fix it." And I tell them, "I'm sorry. This is rejected by the receiving end. They're saying they will not accept this. You're going to have to talk to your contact, and they will have to contact their IT department. I can't fix this. I can only fix what's internal."
You guys make me so happy that I'd never had to do email administration, because I would literally send people, let me Google that for you on how to use OneDrive.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I think it comes down to that eventually.
But we're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
And I mean, we are creatures of habit. We use SharePoint heavily where I work, and they still don't send SharePoint links. I mean, do you really need to attach two Excel spreadsheets in a meeting invite? Really? And you're sending it to like a group of like 20 people? Think about that. And it's a reoccurring meeting. Yeah, and then you're updating that constantly. I mean, it's things like that. I'm like, really? Can't we just send a link? But it happens, and we're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
We just instinctively do it. I do it sometimes, probably more often than I should. But
yeah, people got so used to email being the storage system for such a long time. That's one issue, right? Yeah, and it's always Exchange's fault. I've noticed, like, even if it's an Outlook problem, it's always
my account's locked out. My account's
according
locked
to
out.
the user.
Problem.
That was a sarcastic comment, just to be clear.
Oh, it's always an email problem. My account got locked out.
Yeah.
Call the Exchange team.
Yeah.
I open up Outlook and it's slow.
Yeah.
Call the Exchange team, and you go, I'm sorry, you're getting updates in your system. That's not. I can't help that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't open an Excel file. Call the Exchange team.
Email as a file emails as a file storage actually, brings me back to when Exchange, was it 2013 first came out, they didn't support public folders at all. And then, they said, get away from public folders and use SharePoint. And then, now we're going to let you upgrade public folders and bring those across, but you can't make any new ones. And then in the other update, finally, it was like, okay, we'll bring public folders back.
Yep.
I see that with a lot of different organizations. The email and public folders becomes their filing system, and it's really, really hard to turn that ship around sometimes when it's so weighted down.
It's a culture. It's a culture change. It's the way people work, and it doesn't happen overnight. I'm proud to say I have no public folders. I
don't either. They're gone.
Yeah, I had terabytes of it, and I have a fabulous engineer that worked on it for a year, and we got rid of public folders. That was one of the things that I told him. I said, I'm going to make you responsible for getting rid of public folders, and he did, and it was awesome.
Yep, we don't have any either.
Yeah, but there's still organizations that use it heavily, and they've got legacy data, and I feel bad for them. I really do, because it's like hell.
I worked with a customer this summer, a small company, 60 users. They had 400 gig of public folders. Oh my Lord. I got them down to about 150 gig. What they were doing is, for all of their projects, every person who was involved in the project dumped every email from their inbox for that project into a public folder. Like, this is how they were doing archiving for their projects. And oh my gosh, so we had lots of conversations, and they left as much as they could behind, and more conversations about how to do things differently or better in Exchange Online.
I'm sure that's not the only organization. I've run into quite a few that way. The small ones sometimes are sometimes the worst offenders, but with projects, I ran into a customer last summer that was exactly the same thing with their filing habits, I guess we'll call it, because that's what it is, I guess.
Yeah, we're creatures of habit. We are. I mean, I'm human, and I sometimes I do things. I'm like, oh man, I need to practice what I preach. And I'm very good about that, though. I have a little sticky note tells me every morning, practice what you preach. Practice what you preach. And, yes, I don't give myself a bigger mailbox. I stay within the limits. I have retention policies. I follow all the retention policies that we have. Even though I have access to expand, I have access to change my email address so it's shorter, because I have a really, really, really long name, and I can shorten it, but I don't. I follow the standards, our policies. I have to practice what I preach to my users. If I'm doing something different and they find out, they will come after me with a pitchfork. Yeah. And I also want to experience what they're experiencing. I want to feel their pains. That way I understand what they're going through, and I can make the system better. Because there are times that, I'll run into something that 100 users are experiencing, or let's say half my organization, which is, like 7,000 people. And if they're all experiencing it, I can go, okay, this is not cool. I need to fix this. So if I practice what I preach, I feel I'm a better engineer. I'm a better IT person for my users. So that's all I've got to say.
Yeah, makes sense.
This was fun.
That's how I admin too. It was, yeah. We've gone way off topic at this point. Looks like we might have some people hanging out with us yet. Thanks
this is the current status. It's like the current status.
For being here for the off-topic conversation.
Email's emotional.
Go ahead.
Email's an emotional topic. And I always tell people it's not black and white like managing virtualization. Email, it's it's so emotional because we've got our lives committed to it. You know, it's a personal thing. So it's a different type of conversation rather than, oh, I need to upgrade, all my ESXi hosts. Oh, big whoop, I got, let's plan the upgrade. Let's make sure hardware is compatible. But with email, it's more sensitive. And I think people are more, they listen a little bit differently when it comes to it because it's going to affect them personally rather than from a business standpoint.
That's a really good way to put it, and I don't think I've ever actually thought of it that way.
I don't think so either.
I've thought about it. I thought about it from the other way. This is our mailbox size, and we need to have it this size, and that's the way it is, and deal with it. But yeah, I guess coming at it from the other direction, it is a personal habits and filing systems and the way that people think about emails, right? I have customers, like we mentioned before, the deleted items. That's their archive, right? Is their deleted items folder.
Yep.
And when you change their workflow, that's impactful personally to them. So it's a good reminder.
Yeah. How do you affect which affects the least technical person the most?
Yes. I think I tell my engineers, put yourself in the user's shoes. We may think it's something minor, it's a silly pop-up, but to them, it could be the end of the world, and we have to put ourselves in their shoes. We become better IT professionals to our users if we sit in with their perspective, what they're seeing. And even from a server admin perspective. So if we're patching servers and doing upgrades, and the times that we patch, are we going to affect our users? We could be. And we kind of have to be, we have to be conscious of that, because if you're patching a print server and that admin can't print, she's down for the day or a couple hours. It could, depending on what she does, it's her productivity that's lost. So we can relate that to almost any IT type position, is put ourselves in the business and our users, our customers that we support, put ourselves in their shoes and how would they be impacted. And then, and see if we can work around that and make it the least impactful for them.
It really is the only way to, and it's interesting because for the longest time, IT was more the IT way or the highway. Things have really changed. And if you don't put the users first, I think you will not be successful in IT anymore. You really do have to have that. Yep, they absolutely are. And what they need comes first. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not boundaries and limitations and SLAs and things to follow, but you have to take things from their perspective.
Yes. That's all I've got to say.
Think about Tron. We fight for the users.
Yeah, exactly.
So with that, I think we've got everything covered. I think we've got all our questions answered. It was a really good discussion, and I know that everybody is at the edge of their seat wondering if I was right or wrong about, do we need backups? I thought the answer was for sure going to be yes. And I was wrong, and it's no and maybe kind of is kind of the way it goes. So I don't win anything because I was wrong.
It's the typical answer. It depends.
Yeah.
It really does depend. And I apologize for that being as my 17-year-old son asking me if he can go out tonight. Yes. It is almost 10 o'clock p.m., so I'm sure you can probably predict my answer, guys. What I'm going to say on that one.
That did not depend.
Yeah, that is a not depend.
Be home at 10:15.
Yes.
I wanted to have a friend overnight tomorrow night. I'm like, I really don't think I can do this night sleepover thing because they don't go to sleep. And I'm like, no, same thing.
Okay, guys, I think we are. This was fun. We'll have to come back and talk another fun topic.
Yeah.
Yes, you are welcome to come back to vBrownBag anytime and discuss, even if you want to go technical deep dive or whatever you want to do. We always welcome people back.
That also
Maybe we'll
goes
do a
for,
facts
I'm
one.
gonna go ahead.
Oh, please no.
that also goes for anybody listening. If you have a topic and you want to talk about it, anything technical you want to bring, or a user story or something that you're working on, obviously sign up to bring it to vBrownBag. And thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right, and I stopped the recording, so